and see me okay. Chat's working. So, okay. Well, we're going to go and get started because I know people filter in and like I said, a lot of people catch the replay. So if you are watching the replay, you'll see that I'm not in my usual spot. First of all, I'm in a new house, which is exciting. And second of all, my internet just went down as I was getting set up for this call. So I'm makeshifting in my bedroom using a tripod. So anyways, today's habits. Before we get talking about habits though, I really wanted to just sort of drop in and connect and set an intention for the time together. And for me, I think what feels really relevant right now is just sort of like taking it easy, just taking things as they come, going with the flow. That seems to have been a theme for me over the last little while. So I'm gonna go with that intention for us for today is to go with the flow. So I'm gonna pull an affirmation card for us for today. And so the affirmation pack that I've got is really cute. It's called My Little Bag of Sweary Affirmations. And this is really fun. I pull these with the step kids a lot. So I'm just going to pull in for today to see what feels right for us. Because I feel like an affirmation's in order today. So this one says, ooh, this is a good one. It says, put on your favorite song and dance your ass off. Can you see? Yes. I love that. So that's what we need to do today, friends. So I don't have any music set up because again, I'm on my phone. I can't make that happen for us, but we're going to do our best. We're going to dance after we get off the call. So I want to start today just really easy, having a little bit of a bitch fest. I feel like we could all use that sometimes, just like, ugh, say something that's on your mind, that's driving you crazy today. And I find that if we go around the room and, there's not too many of us here. I think it's just me and Tara right now, but Tara, we'll go around and I'm going to tell you something that's been driving me a little bit crazy bananas lately. And I want to hear from you, see what's going on with you. So the thing that's on my heart right now to share is really people changing things for the sake of changing things. And not sticking with a plan once you make a plan. That nothing drives me crazier than that. And the reason is because when you come up with a plan, you take the time, you do the plan, you got the plan in motion, especially if you're with a team of people who are like all involved, right? And then the leader, let's say, goes and makes a change, but just for the sake of changing, all the work everyone's done is out the window. And now we're on the fly, we're changing things. Specifically, I'm referring to my 9 to 5 right now. Everything is crazy because it's retail and we're having a summer sale and the boss is changing everything, which is driving me a little bit bananas. So that's what's going on with me. Tara, what's going on with you? What's crazy in your world right now? I think you're muted, so you have to find a way to unmute yourself. Tech. Always. All good. If you can't find your unmute button, it is all good. I'm happy to bitch by myself too. It's no biggie. Oh my gosh, Tara, that storm is really throwing you for a loop. So Tara's in Texas, and I guess you're having a storm. I presume it's not a snowstorm because you're in Texas and it's May, but probably a lot of windy.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hey.
Okay. Sorry, I don't know what is wrong with this phone.
All good. You and me both.
The camera, then it's the microphone. I'm like, what's going on?
Oh my God, I love it. Well, is that the thing that's driving you crazy today?
Absolutely. Yes. I would say, yeah, definitely internet. And I work from home. So that doesn't help. I mean, I'm off for the summer, so that's a good thing.
Oh, are you a teacher?
I work at an online school.
Nice.
So like an advisor.
Very cool.
Yeah. So that's irritating, but yeah. So now it shows on here that I'm in here like 3 times, but I'm really only here once.
We'll keep our fingers crossed. And if not, there's always the replay, presuming I can get it up and running. So what a day, I tell you, but that's okay. We're coming into summer. I know that like for me personally, summer is always this time of just like crazy change. And my kids get all wild at the end of the year. And like now, right, we're seeing behavior stuff happening. And I'm sure like in the educational system, you see a lot of that too, right?
Yes, and I have 3 kids, and apparently they're hungry 24/7 now that they're at home, so,
Sure, of course.
yeah.
Oh God.
I'm
I
like, "Did
feel
you
like
guys
that's
ask your teachers this often for snacks?" Like, I'm
right.
confused.
Yeah, I'm sure my kid does, but
Yeah.
they're like monsters. Oh my God. I so feel for teachers, especially this time of year. It's
Yes,
crazy. Yeah.
yeah.
But for parents too, right? Like our whole world shifts when the kids are home, especially
Yes.
if like you're working from home. If they're at
Mhm,
camp and you're at work and like it feels a little bit easier, but if you're the parent who's got kids at home and you're trying to work and maybe they're young enough that they still need you a lot, like that's a big shift in your time,
mhm.
right?
Yeah,
So
like, I love
that's
them, but I like the space.
yes, exactly. It's so important to take that space too for yourself, because if you don't,
Yeah.
you're like literally in it all the time. It's sort of like COVID
Mhm.
flashbacks, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, excuse me, I'm getting over the tail end of like a 6-week cold.
Oh,
So if I have to cough, apologies.
oh,
Um,
totally fine.
but yeah, so that's kind of the reason that I did the mom circle based on habits this time, is like I've covered time management, I've covered goal setting, I've covered mindset and
Mm,
intuition and a whole bunch of really fun things. And this time I was like, you know what, habits is the thing, because when you change seasons, you just need to sort of re-up your game a little bit, right? You need to kind of
mhm.
just reassess what's going to work in the new season, like literally season, but also figuratively, like whenever life changes and throws you a curveball. Like I'm thinking too for moms with young ones, like every milestone they reach, like life changes. Like, oh, okay,
Yes.
we just got used to like the baby thing and now they're crawling. Okay, they're on the move. Now we just got used to that and now they're talking. And it's like every change feels like this
Mhm,
whole new season. And what saved me was the habits, because that was the one thing that I could like keep consistent, right?
mhm.
Um, and so I did a really like a lot of work into habits and habit setting. And I wanted to sort of share that knowledge today in hopes that it could help somebody else get through this crazy time. Um, and so the first thing, have you read actually Atomic Habits by James Clear?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Such a good one. I mean, there's so many
Very
good
good book.
book on habits. Yeah, but I love that one in particular. I love that he talks about getting 1% better every day, right?
Mhm.
And that's such a good reminder for me, because we often find that it's all or nothing as moms. Anyways, I feel like that. It's like, okay, I'm going to do this thing. And if I can't do this thing perfectly, then I didn't do it right. And I'm just going to give up, right? Because I don't have time to be not perfect at anything. I don't have time to like get better at anything. I need it now, right? But remembering like just get 1% better, and that's
Yeah,
okay. That's
small
that's
steps.
still forward progress, right?
Mhm.
um I saw Dean Graziosi do a talk once, and he was saying, he told a story about how, imagine that there's this like old man farmer and he's got his tractor and he goes the same route every single day for like 20 years, right? But if he was to shift his wheel like even just a little bit, eventually his route is not going to be straight anymore. He's going to end up a completely different direction. And it's like you can shift just one small thing that you do, and it can
Mhm.
completely change a trajectory of your life or the thing you're trying to accomplish or whatever, right? Um, so I always really love that. Um, there was something I was talking to my mom the other day about Jerry Seinfeld and how, because she's like, do you know who the richest guy in Hollywood is? It's Jerry freaking Seinfeld. I'm like, you're kidding. But when he first started telling jokes and writing comedy and stuff, he had this big calendar on his wall. And he would mark like every day he would write a joke, and it was like consistency, right? And that's how he got to be like the best in the biz. But what he would do is he would have like a big red X on every day that he did the writing, or he like practiced the gig or whatever.
Mhm.
And he always said, like, it's okay if I miss one day. Like, it's not a big deal if I miss a day, but I'm not going to miss 2 days. So his thing was like, don't see two blank spaces. It's cool to miss
Right.
a day. Like every other day he could miss and he'd feel okay about that. But it's the consistency of the habit. And that's how you get better
Agreed.
at something. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is good.
I love that. And I think it was James Clear actually who said this. Maybe you'll remember because you've read the book, but it's the idea was every everything you do, every decision you make, every action you take is a vote that you get to cast in the direction of the person you want to be or not. Right. And so when we talk about habits, I feel like we're often focused on changing something or becoming something or achieving something. And if we look at all of our decisions, like even the micro things that happen throughout our day, if we look at those as a vote towards or against the type of person we want to be, it's like, yeah, they're just one ballot. Like every decision is not life changing, but the more votes you give towards the type of person you're wanting to be or the thing you're wanting to do, you're gonna have such a huge progress towards that thing. Right. Yeah. So consistency is everything in habits, at least in my experience. Yeah. So there was 3 things that I wanted to teach on today for habits. And the first one is called habit stacking. Have you heard of habit stacking?
Yes, briefly.
Yeah, I'll give you like the rundown. So basically habit stacking is the idea that there are so many things we do in our normal day anyways that are habits for us, like getting up and going straight to the bathroom, or brushing your teeth after you have your coffee, or like washing your hair in the shower, or whatever the case is. That's just a few examples from like the first half hour you wake up, right? If you want to implement a new habit in your life, habit stacking suggests that if you can attach it to another habit that you're already doing, you're more likely to do the thing because you're performing a new behavior attached to an existing habit. And the nice thing about that is that it'll become a habit more quickly because you're consistently doing it, right? So if you decide you want to meditate, or if you decide you want to read more, or if you decide you want to meal prep or whatever, right? It can be anything, write a book, who knows? If you attach that at the same time as you do another habit, either right before or right after, you're doing that thing every day because the other one's a non-negotiable. It's not even a habit anymore. It's just part of you. And the more that you do the habit, the more that the habit just becomes a part of you and it's not something you think of anymore. And that's when you can add another layer on. I feel like people get tripped up a lot with habits because they try too many things at once. Right. And they're like, I want to achieve this level version, not understanding that there's 9 things that need to go into that. And you have to tackle each one at a time. Because if you can get the one habit down, like the easiest one, right? Like even if you're trying to like get to the gym more, the one habit you can start with is like, put your shoes by the front door, like it doesn't have to be the whole thing right away. And once it's habit every morning to put those shoes by the front door, it's like, okay, cool. Now we're going to actually like change our route driving to work and like stop by the gym. Or maybe it's like set your alarm earlier. And eventually it's just going to be like, oh, well, all of these things are already lined up for me. I've now worked this into part of who I am. And when it's a part of who you are, it's like you don't even think about it. So habit stacking is sort of like a supercharged way to get there. To get a little
part of your routine.
Totally. Yeah. Routine is everything too. When you're talking habits, routine is everything in motherhood. I don't know if you feel the same way, but like,
100%.
Yeah. And when you're off routine and when like your kids get off routine, it can really fuck everything up and everything like is wild until you get back in it. And then everyone feels safe again and everyone's nervous system is calmed down. And yeah. So habit stacking is something I try to do whenever I'm working a new routine in, even if it's like just drinking more water, like, okay, I'll have a water before I have my glass of wine because I always have a glass of wine, or a coffee or whatever, right? One probably negates the other, but there are healthy habits that one does. And then my other favorite one is called temptation bundling. So this is really fun way to like reward yourself, but also like dangle a carrot on the end of the string. So like temptation bundling is such that you can only do something you really like that's a treat for you if you first do your habit that you're trying to implement. So like if you love watching, like I'm on an Outlander binge right now. I don't know if you've heard of Outlander. I like live for Outlander. So if I was trying to get a new habit in, what I would say to myself is like, okay, you can't watch Outlander. motivation from like having performed the habit. So you're getting reinforced two ways and your habit becomes really strong really quick. So those are like two of my favorite little hacks to be able to make sure that a habit actually sticks and is able to stay strong and get ingrained in you quicker, because there's all different numbers flying around, right? About how long does it take for a habit to stick? I'm sure you've heard like 30 days, 60 days, like 10,000 hours, whatever. And nobody actually knows.
Right.
I'm sure many contradictory studies have been done. But for me, it kicks into place when it becomes nature. And for me, the consistency is the fastest way to get there. So, yeah. Are there any habits that you're working on right now, like that you are interested in changing up or like achieving or working towards or getting rid of maybe?
Yeah. So I'm trying to, of course, drink more water. Oh,
You're gone. I'm gone. What happened? I think that was me. I don't know what happened. I'm going to put you back on my pod here. So weird. Hold on. Okay. All right. I don't know. Your video is maybe not working. When you come back and when I can hear you again, you can tell me what you're working towards, because I'm curious to know. But let me see here. So with those two hacks, that's what I like to really just sort of give as little tips to work towards whatever the heck it is you're working towards, because we all have things that we want to do. We all have things that we want to change, that we want to accomplish, that we want to achieve. And sometimes just having a few tricks up your sleeve can give you the nudge that you need to get started or keep going with it. So, excuse me, there's that cold. So the other thing that I wanted, drinking more water. Yes. Going to the gym. Here I am tilting my head. 5 days a week, girl. Holy. Wow. Okay. So that's a lot. That's a big one. Good for you. I would love to hear, and it might be too tricky with the chat and stuff, but I'd love to hear, like, how do you work that in with 3 kids? Like, what is your time hack to make that time for yourself? Because that's a big one. 5 days a week at the gym. That's something that I never could get motivated to do, is go to the gym. I think it's just like, I don't know. I've got some kind of mental block about going to the gym. I'll outside walk for hours, like 5 a.m. and get home before your husband wakes up. Oh, nice. Okay, so your kids must be a little bit older than mine, because mine get up at 5 a.m. still and wake me up. So that was one of the things actually in the beginning of my self-development sort of journey. Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. My boyfriend has a 13 and 9-year-old. So I'm kind of in that zone of your kids' age. So different. But yeah, when I was first starting personal development, it was like all the mentors and gurus and like experts I was listening to kept talking about getting up at 5 and doing this morning routine. And I was like, yes, I want that. Like, I got no problem getting up at 5, but like my kids are up too. So I don't really get a lot of time to myself at that point in time. And I'm not waking up at 4. So when am I meant to do this morning routine? So I ended up flipping it on its head and doing a nighttime routine, which worked out to be beautiful and nourishing and fulfilling, and way better actually than a morning routine for me in that stage of life. There's so many ways that we can just tweak it, for our own lifestyle. Yeah, no, it's hard when your kids are young. It really is. And that's half of the work that I do, is trying to help people find those pockets of time where they can like actually do the things that they want to do, but in a realistic way that works like with your current life, because we can get so down on ourselves when we have these big goals and we're like, yes, I want to do this, but my kids are small and they need to touch me all day long. And like, I'm wiping poop and all the things. It's not realistic to expect those big things from yourself, but those are the years that you set your foundation, right? Those are the years that you get really good at your routines and your habits, and you find those ways to like calm yourself and get to know yourself and do that inner work, so that when your kids are like your age, you're at the prime time where they're cool by themselves for a little bit and you can go to the gym, right? You can focus on those bigger goals. And if you're set up with this foundation of really solid, like self-care, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, um, then you're gold. Like you can just fly. So that's amazing. Good for you. 5 days a week, Lord. So actually that leads me into the last thing I want to talk about, which fits really good, is that weekly planning is a tool I use to like help me stay accountable for habits. And I wonder if you find this useful too. It sounds like at 5 a.m. that's sort of like your time. That's non-negotiable. That's your time in your schedule. But for people who are maybe in a phase of life where they don't have that predictability, they don't know when their time is going to be available as much, or it's a different time every day. Maybe someone who works shift work, or like me, splits kids. So like some days of the week, I've got all the time. And then other days of the week, I have zero time because I'm single parenting, right? So one thing that has helped me a lot is weekly planning. And so I think actually I have a podcast episode about my weekly planning. I won't go into it like full on here. I'll link when I send this replay, I'll send the link to the pod about my weekly planning. But essentially what I like to do is I like to start, like I've got an old school agenda that I use because I'm pretty old school. And I like to have a full month view, like with the squares, the weeks, 4 weeks, sun squares, all the things. And in that, I look at it every single month and I put down like birthdays, I put down appointments in advance, like when you book your dentist a year out kind of thing. I put down things like when bills are due, or family events that are on the calendar, things like that. And then I use that sort of as my starting point. But every single week, I start a new week view and I'm writing down when the garbage goes out. And I'm taking those big events from the monthly calendar and slotting them in the appropriate day on the week. But then I'm also adding those recurring weekly things, right? Every Wednesday, I take the garbage out. Every Friday, my son has speech therapy, whatever those recurring things are. And then I put in 3 weekly priorities. And that's all I give myself is 3, because realistically, we don't have that much free time. 3 things is more than enough to accomplish. Like, good on you if you get those 3 things done. It's a reasonable number. But if you don't get them done, you didn't, like there wasn't 10 things you didn't get done. There was just 3, and you probably got 2 of them done. And I like to put those in either in pencil or at the beginning of the week, because 2 reasons. If you put them at the beginning of the week and you get them actually accomplished, that's amazing. And the rest of your week feels more spacious, right? Because you've done those 3 to-dos, and like anything else is gravy. That's amazing. But you don't feel like you have to do anything else because you know that your top 3 priorities are getting accomplished every week. And if you don't accomplish those at the beginning of the week, then you have the rest of the week to like float those tasks, right? So what he's saying here, so use Google Task app every single day. Yes, I know. Oh, you're younger than me. I'm 36, almost 37 actually. The list, drink water. Yeah, those save me too. Like little calendar reminders, or if you can do like putting in reminders or tasks in your phone. Alarms are really helpful too. Like you can label an alarm. I used to go through a phase where I would label an alarm for like, take 3 deep breaths, because I was super anxious and I needed to like remind myself to just get present in the moment. Any of those tasks, any of those tools, like digital tools, can be so helpful when you're trying to get organized. And I don't know if you've ever used the app Trello, but Trello is really good. I find if you have a brain like me, where like everything's here, but you need to get it somewhere, because as soon as it's on paper, it's out of your head. So you're free space, but it needs to live somewhere, but it needs to be organized a bit. And Trello I like because it's got these different boards, and I label them like to do, like must do this week. And that's where I go to get my 3. Then I have a next board that's like, can wait, like this month, not urgent, but I want to get this done. And then third board is just like a list of all the things that popped into my head as a to do, but they're more like it's not really urgent. Like, yeah, Trello is a great one. It's free too. You can do like 10 boards for free and color code them and all the things. And you could like drag from one board to the next. But my last board is things like research my human design. Like, yes, I'd love to do that. I want to learn about that, but it's not something that's like top priority for me right now. So it doesn't need to live on my to-do list and like weigh me down as one more thing I need to do. Right. So I use Trello in my weekly planning. And then the one thing also that I really like to encourage people to do is grab a different color pen and put in a self-care activity, like put in something that is just for you, whether that's going out for coffee or having a massage or going for a walk or reading a book or like having a bath or having your glass of wine or making sure that you call your mom or like whatever is like just for you, and have it in a different colored pen. Because if you look at your week on Sunday when you're going and you're putting in your week, and I use green, like if there's no green on my calendar, like, okay, time out. Jill didn't get her thing this week. Like we need to make sure that I put something in for me. And that's a really good way to stay accountable to your own tasks and priorities. So you can use a different color pen for your habits too. So if depending on what the habit is, so for you, you could put in like in red or purple or something like 5 a.m. gym every day on your calendar. It's a visual reminder for you, but it also helps you organize where and when you're going to do it. If it's not something that's consistent every day on this, like at the same time. It sounds like maybe you like to use a calendar system where you've got like the 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., or do you like an open page? You like that like broken down? Yeah, I like that too. I like that when I'm like in a phase like you're at where you have a little bit more control of your day. Right now, I
Yes.
find that if I have that like 8 a.m., 9 a.m. structure, I'll put something in and then I'll get all frustrated that I can't get it done at that time because like somebody
Mhm.
threw up or whatever, right? And then I'm like marking lines and using white and it just stresses me right out. So I found that this year, what I did was I chose an agenda where I just have like a blank page for the day. And I find
Mhm.
that to be really freeing. We're like, it's still there, it's still in my day, but I don't have that restrictive, like, okay, it's got to be done at this time.
Yeah, more
Gives
like
me a
a
little bit more
checklist.
space mentally
Yeah.
to work that out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's pretty much what I wanted to cover about habits. I wanted to talk about consistency. I wanted to give some tools like habit stacking and temptation bundling, and sort of wrap it all up with accountability on how we can make sure that we're putting it in our calendar and staying consistent. And one thing also that I really think is a smart idea, if we can find like an accountability partner or a community where we're just like sharing. So whether that's a community that you find, like if you're a runner or like a worker outer like you can go on and find a community of people who are into that on Facebook, or like the Grow Like a Mother community has a little chat. Hold on. So sorry. I
That's okay.
probably just need a bit more wine.
Right.
So where you can just come and like be in community and support each other and be like, hey, how was your workout? Like, did you make it this week? Did the storms keep you in? Whatever.
Hmm.
So I really love that. Excuse me. That's like a really good cue to be like, it's time to wrap this up, Jilly, because your throat's not going to handle much more. But thank you so much